Now, with this background information in mind, we need to be reminded of the definitions of vices, virtue, and character. Vices and virtues are defined as life habits that become second nature. The virtues and vices are concerned with the condition of our hearts. We know that God gives us what we need. It's his gift to us. When our love or our heart is disordered, the result is a vice that distorts our view of what God has given to us. This changes our focus from God, who is the giver, to what was given, the gift. Now, those gifts become a form of self-reliance. We learn to depend on what we've been given instead of relying on the one who longs to continue giving to his children. Go back to the second diagram that we described about human nature. If there's a marked dependency, that becomes the life habits that are vices that lead to bad character. On the other hand, the virtues are the life habits that focus on who God is and reliance on him, and ultimately leading to godly character. The nature within the individual that enables a person to live out the actions in society is one's character. As has been expressed, someone might have bad character or someone might have good character. Most people actually have a combination of both. It's for this reason that the transforming work of the Holy Spirit becomes a lifelong process. Therefore, it's important that the formation of virtues continues and continues. Now, as parents work with their children, giving explanations regarding the why for virtue in the activity is necessary. It also is important to explain how these will apply to the person's life and to the community in which they're living. For a person to be fully embracing the need for virtues and character in one's life, the purpose of each must be explained. Without the explanation, the virtues usually fail to become second nature. As a result, they do not last throughout one's lifetime. It's important to know that virtues focus on the human life, how someone lives. They're not meant to be a means to enable you to be successful in a career. This means the activity provided through the Virtues and Character Development Project are not intended for virtue signaling. Now, Webster's dictionary defines virtue signaling as when someone publicly expresses opinions or takes actions primarily to appear morally upright, rather than generally being committed to the cause. An example is someone sharing a post online about donating to a charity without actually donating or taking further action to support the cause. And if you go to Webster's dictionary, you can look that up and see that definition. Now, this is why the goal of the resources that we're producing here are not about looking virtuous, but rather being virtuous. Next, it's important to remember that all virtue development is in a community. This means it must be expressed within that community. So the focus ought to be on the common good, not on what the individual gains. It's good for a person to have virtues and good character. However, if it has no impact on the people in the community, while it is better than having bad character, it is not sufficient. Virtue formation is not a focus on the individual gaining some kind of advantage over others, but on being able to positively impact one's community, whether that's the family, society, the nation, or the world. That's the purpose of godly character. Virtues must be put into action. An example of this is found in Luke chapter 10, verses 25 to 37. You may already know the story of the Good Samaritan. Here, the Good Samaritan had compassion, but he also acted to help the injured person. It wasn't enough for the Samaritan to have compassion. He must act on that. In the same manner, virtues must be put into action in the community. That's why each virtue being developed should also have some kind of service component where the community is served in some manner. Now, the activities that you're going to be given are intended to facilitate the formation of habits that become second nature. This means they have to be repeated regularly over time. Otherwise, they just are activities that have to be completed, nothing more than work to be done as if we're on some kind of checklist. St. Thomas Aquinas helped us understand when he taught the virtues are the center of living. Think of it as a balance. But the vices are what happen when someone falls off to an extreme, either too much or too little. So use the following example. Picture this. There's a wooden board lying on the floor. It's 4 feet long, 2 inches high, and 4 inches wide. Now, first, picture the board is turned so the 2 inches are on top, and that would mean be 4 inches going upward. And you're asked to walk on the board from one end to the other, the entire 4 feet, only touching the top. That you have 2 inches. You'll find it's probably likely you're going to fall off fairly easily. Now, let's take that same board and rotate it. And now the 4 inch width is what's on top. And now you walk along that 4 inch side from one end to the other. It's likely it'll be a little easier, but you probably still will fall off. Now let's change the board to one that's 2 inches by 6 inches. And then walk from one end to the other. And switch to a board that's 2 inches by 8 inches. And finally, one's 2 inches by 10 inches. Each time the surface on which you're walking is going to be wider. Most likely, you'll find yourself being able to walk across the board without falling, the more that you have width to be able to walk on. However, if someone were alongside of you and pushed you as you moved in each situation, remaining on top would still be challenging. Even then, it would be less likely you'd fall off the board when the board is wider. So in a sense, you can imagine this is what happens as virtues form within a person. The habit of remaining in balance while walking becomes stronger when the road on which you're traveling is wider. Even if someone were to push you as you continue in your virtue, you're less likely to turn to vice. Now imagine what it would be like during the development of balance walking if someone walked alongside of you to keep you steady instead of pushing you. You would find yourself growing more consistent as you move forward. That's the role of the parents working with the children, serving as one who provides the support needed to develop the virtues that will withstand the pressures of daily living.